Hello, everyone. My name is Shakayla Alvarenga. I'm the Director of Public Programs here at the Mob Museum, and welcome to our December Community Safety Forum, and thank you so much for being here for this presentation. So I'd like to introduce our speaker for today's program, Margarita Edwards. She is the Executive Director of Nevada Child Seekers, and her presentation today will center on finding missing children. So please welcome Margarita Edwards.
Hello, how's everyone? Happy Sunday. So yes, I have the honor to be a voice for missing children, and I've been doing this for 10 years. I volunteered for the first 2 years as a volunteer that would help search and hand out flyers, and then it just became a part of my heart, started working with Nevada Child Seekers, and then moved up to Executive Director. We will be taking questions at the end of the presentation, so we're going to get started. Our goal is to find our missing kids, point blank and period, but it is also to prevent them from going missing. So we will be talking about our role in the prevention and the education piece of missing children. So we've been established for over 30 years here in Nevada, and we have a group of 4 of us, as you can see. And with the children going missing here in Nevada, we're at about 8,000 children a year that go missing. So can you imagine 4 people being the only 4 people to search? There's no way, right? So we're blessed to have over 400 volunteers all throughout Nevada, from churches to community-based organizations to just friends and family that are impassioned to be a voice for our missing children. And so with that, we are able to locate about 93% of our missing children. So because of COVID-19, we had to switch up our role just a little bit. What we ended up doing was, when the whole entire state was on lockdown, we were still actively searching, but what we would do is we would send text blasts and emails to all the gas stations, all the essential workers, all the businesses that were still open, and I would actually physically drop off the flyers, put them on all the community boards, or have a manager of that facility help and post the posters on their community boards, which actually helped. We were still able to locate 93 to 95% of our missing children, even during the pandemic. We did notice that there was the stay-at-home orders, but that unfortunately exacerbated the children that were being abused in the home. They were locked with their abusers. So we did see an increase of our missing child population here in Nevada during the pandemic. So if you want to go into numbers, we have about, let's see, is it okay if I move? Am I okay to move? Okay. Sorry. So we work with the FBI's cyber tip line. There was a huge increase in online solicitation for our young people. Sexual exploitation was really big on TikTok, Instagram, all of those social media platforms. A lot of our children were in front of their devices, of course, at a monumental rate, especially during the lockdown. So we work side by side with the FBI and the Internet Crimes Unit here in Las Vegas, which is housed here in Las Vegas, and we were able to locate and prevent a lot of the information and the predators that were out there luring our children. We're grateful to our children who were reporting a lot of these incidents to us. So that gives you an idea of how youth empowerment goes hand in hand with preventing children from being abducted or even exploited. A lot of our children report it, and then we're able to stop it. So we have 2 parts of our mission. Of course, the first is to locate our missing children. We have individualized case management, which means if a child's reported missing, after they've made the report with law enforcement, they come to us, we create the statewide alert that goes out. We work with the Amber Alert Nevada committee, and Amber Alerts are different from a missing child alert. An Amber Alert can only be activated if the child here in Nevada is taken and there's a vehicle description, so that makes it hard, and they're deemed in danger. So meaning the child was abducted by a stranger, they're in danger, and there's a vehicle description. So we do everything else, the other 99% of the alerts, which is a runaway, a suspicious missing child, endangered missing children, parental abductions, all of the other unfortunate cases that happen with our missing child, with our missing children. We have an emergency volunteer task force. Again, those are the 400 volunteers that are trained with us, and we do trainings every year. You just call our office. They're done quarterly, so you could jump on into the next rotation in January if you'd like to be trained on how to help search for missing children. And then after we find our missing kids, we want to reunify them and make sure it doesn't happen again, figure out what was the cause for the child to go missing. We have an e-flyer team, which is an e-blast. It can be sent to your phone or it can be sent to your email. We're really big on social media, so the minute we get a missing child alert, we'll post it on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of the social media platforms, and that gets the word out faster than any email ever could. And then we do a big search, which is every Super Bowl weekend. It's a 3-day effort where we flyer all of downtown, all the way down to the Strip. And we're looking for our missing children that are deemed critical missing children. So there's something to the case that law enforcement needs more assistance with tips with, or it's a cold case and we have never heard from the child, or there's no activity on social media, or there's definitely something that they deem as critical, they ask us to assist them with. So we do the 3-day search event during Super Bowl weekend, and then we do Saturday searches every last Saturday of the month. So it's an ongoing effort. We search every day, but the big efforts are once a month. On our youth empowerment programs, we are blessed to have so many volunteers that help us present. We have a program manager who goes out and presents. We have Be Brave, which is an anti-bullying program. We're noticing a lot of our children were running away from home due to bullying at school. NetSmarts, which is a national internet safety program brought to you by the National Center for Missing Children. And it's great because it's all age appropriate. So the elementary school presentations, they're cartoons and they're really fun, and they talk to kids about, if they're online playing on a video game, if someone's asking your name or your age, that's a red flag. Don't give them personal information. Then when we get to the middle school component, it's a little bit more older, a little bit more age appropriate, but it's still a cartoon, but it's more like a Comic Con, the kids love the middle school component. They're superheroes, and it talks to them about, if you feel safe, unsafe, scared, or confused, those are your body telling you something's wrong. Speak to a trusted adult and try to get help. Then when we move on to the high school, the cartoons are gone. It's real life stories from other teens that have experienced some things. Maybe they've run away, or maybe they're now a voice for missing children. Maybe they had a sibling that went missing. So that's the real deal. And we go to about 112 schools here locally, and we reach about 20,000 children with these messages of prevention, to talk to them about how to prevent, not just from going missing, but from being abused or exploited, or if there's something happening that you want to talk to your parents about, now's the time to do it. Don't internalize it. Don't carry something so heavy. And we also work with Operation Drug Free. That's the great program about the Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA. The agents actually come out with us, and we talk to the children about what's out there on the streets, what type of drugs are the most popular, that social media now, you can buy drugs on social media that can be delivered to your home. It's all current information, and we make sure that we're speaking the same language as our teens. That's helped a lot of our kids. We do surveys at the end of our presentations, and about 95, 98% will tell us, hey, something in your presentation is going to help me later on, or I'm going to take this back and share it with a friend. So a lot of that's working as well. Everything I'm mentioning is entirely free, and thankfully, even through COVID, we had a YouTube channel that was launched. So we still have our kids watching those presentations that were age specific, and human trafficking is the one that a lot of children are not learning about. They've known it's been out there, but they didn't know what it was. They just thought their friends were going to parties, or they didn't understand the correlation between the predators luring them, and that's a huge one as well. So we do touch on that with the teenagers. So now I'm going to talk to you really quickly about our case management. So in 2020, we helped locate 365 of our children that went missing. And then there's a breakdown by quarter and also by what type of cases. Were they from Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Henderson, or other? Other would be outside of the state. So we actually help families from anywhere who call us. You can be in California and call us and need help. You can be in North Dakota and call us and need help. We work with the National Center for Missing Children, and sometimes we're the mediator between law enforcement with the family. Department of Family Services is a large percent of our cases. We do have a large pool of foster children that do go missing. And sometimes we're the only people looking. We're the only family that will go out and search for them. Parental abductions, they usually peak during the holidays or in summer, unfortunately. And we had about 5 critical ones that happened during 2020. And then we have missing, and then we have commercially, just to kind of give you an idea of what CSEC means, commercially sexually exploited children, so that means the child trafficking arena. Unfortunately, we did have, as you can see, cases, and even in 2020, that fell under that category. And then runaway youth, sometimes it could be grades. The grades are bad. Home life is fine, but the child's just experiencing severe stress, and so they run away or they stay at a friend's house. Those cases are about, I would say 92 to 93% of our cases would be called runaways, but that's somebody willfully walking away from where they're supposed to be. Like there wasn't an actual abduction, somebody didn't pull them into their vehicle. But those, even though the runaways are still critical, and in my heart, we still need to find them, because any child that doesn't come home or isn't where they're supposed to be, 9 times out of 10, within the first 48 hours, they'll either be lured by a predator, if they're sleeping on the park or wandering around by themselves. They'll be victims of some type of abuse on the street. So we want to get them before the 48 hours hits. We search the minute parents call us, the minute that child's deemed missing, our alert goes out, our activation begins, and we search. Our goal is to find them as quickly as possible. So child trafficking has become a preeminent concern for Nevada child seekers, as our region is a transient nature, coupled with its status as one of the world's premier tourist destinations, as often resulted in the dire situations for our runaways. In fact, Las Vegas ranks 6th in the country for emergency calls to the human trafficking hotline, sandwiched between the much larger metropolises of Chicago and Atlanta. And the number of missing child cases Nevada child seekers handles involves sex trafficking has been consistently greater. So 23% of our cases in 2019 and 43% of our cases in 2018 had child trafficking, and either they were connected to or victims of. To combat this phenomenon, we are engaged as part of the Southern Nevada Human Trafficking Task Force and the Department of Homeland Security's Anti-Human Slavery Campaign. Through these partnerships, we have distributed anti-human trafficking hotline stickers in properties spanning from the Strip, bus terminals, and the airport. When victims dial this number, local authorities are alerted to bring children to a safe place. We additionally furnish tip cards to the local tourism industry so they can better scrutinize interactions for potential victims. We also supply schools with posters so children can report anonymously if they are being trafficked. It's one of those things that we have to talk about because it is happening, and our children are empowered with information. They're able to make better choices for themselves. So this kind of gives you an idea of the map. So the hotspots for human child trafficking are the ones in red. As you can see, it spans all over the country, all over the world. So it's important to know that if a child is a victim of trafficking, most likely they'll be moved. And what I mean by that is they'll be taken either out of the state or out of the city they were kidnapped from or lured from. And the reason for that is to make that child or that victim feel helpless, make it harder for them to reach out for help. I want to really thank our friends in the Holy Highway. They're a group of truck drivers, and what they do is when we send out our alert, if we feel like this child's being transported, they'll alert all of the truck drivers, all the truck stops, and we found our children being transported and been able to stop them before they were hurt. So it's kind of giving you an idea of the network. The network is just a group of law enforcement, community-based organizations, and even just groups created by people who want to be a voice for our missing children. So 1 in 5 of the 11,800 runaways that were reported to the National Center back in 2015 were likely victims of sex trafficking. Unfortunately, that number has gone up since then. But I did want to give you a snapshot of what it looks like. So the longer a child is on their own, whether it's on the streets or they're couch surfing or they're on their own deciding not to be home, the longer they're out there, the more likely they are to be victimized. So our goal is to find them, figure out what's going on, give them some resources, work with the guardians or the case manager or the legal adult who's in charge of that child, and figure out if they need to be put in counseling or trauma therapy or a recovery center if drugs is the problem, or if they just are dealing with a lot of trauma that may have happened in their life and it's hard for them to even cope with. So we work with the reunification and also the whole picture of the healing of what that child will need. And we focus on finding them, but we also focus on healing them and figuring out how to keep them safe. So in 2020, the statistics revealed that the routes for combating human trafficking in the United States, so as you can see, there is routes, and we included Canada and Mexico because I wanted to give everybody the snapshot of how our children are being transported. If you were on a satellite, you would think that that's the picture of all the lights coming off of the city, right? It kind of looks identical to that. So it kind of gives you an idea that wherever you see the white is where the children will be taken or be lured from. And then where you see the bright lights is the hotspots or the mecca of where, unfortunate, that those incidents are taking place or the children are being bought. A lot of times in the rural America, I feel this topic needs to be talked about more because in rural America, they'll be taken but brought to Las Vegas or brought to New York or brought to Florida or taken down to Mexico. And that statistic itself, it's something that needs to be shared more with parents. If we only knew more, we could keep our children safer. So these are the stickers that we give thousands and thousands throughout the year. We've had Starbucks put them in their bathrooms. We've had Target place them on their community boards. We've had really great partnerships all throughout the state of agencies and businesses recognizing that this is really happening. And the reason why the bathrooms and the fitting rooms and those type of areas or arenas, these work best is because the child is allowed to use the restroom. You know, they are allowed to go to the fitting room. Unfortunately, with what's happening with but in those moments, it's something that is easy to memorize. So if they do get to a safe place or if they are able to get to a phone, they are able to ask for help. They can even text. They can even text help to that phone number, and immediately the human trafficking hotline will be activated. And here in Las Vegas, it goes directly to the police, and they figure out how to save that child. So that's the really great thing about Nevada is they have a really good network. We have a really good network of resources for our victims to be able to rescue them. So our missing child caseload, right now we're at 93% closed, which is fantastic. That means the child was reported missing, and within a week, sometimes a day or a week, the child was located safely. So our arena with the case managers and our program manager and myself and our volunteers, we are able to locate our children and find them safely. And the 7% that are still open, if you wanted to be a voice for our missing children, just go to our Facebook. That's probably the easiest. And you would click on any missing child flyer. I mean, we post them every day. Share it with your family and friends. We get great tips from Facebook, even just in our comments. We actually had a child reach out to her own flyer and let us know, like, I need help. And I was like, okay, DM me what's happening. And we were able to get law enforcement where she was. She didn't think anybody was looking for her. She was a victim, and she believed that, you know, a lot of times the predator will tell the victim that no one's going to look for you. No one's looking for you. You know, to keep them down, keep them submissive, unfortunately. And for her to see her own flyer just twisted and turned everything, and she realized that she is worthy. We are looking for you, and we were able to rescue her. So that was a big deal. And that was off of Facebook a few months ago. You will see that the missing child flyers will say located when the child is located, so there is follow-up. But then after about a day or two, that located flyer will disappear because they are children, and we have to protect them at all costs. So you will know when a child's found, but then after a while, the located flyer and the original missing flyer will be deleted from our system, and that's to protect them because we don't want to re-victimize them. We don't want something like that circulating once they've been found. So our missing child case report, many of our missing child cases stem from multiple issues. These statistics are solely Nevada child seekers, so this is our database based on our missing child application. So as you can see, there are certain years where, let's say, abuse goes up, or drugs goes up, or truancy, or trafficked, and it's one of those things that we have to track. Is there a trend? What's happening in society, or what's happening in that town where that child's from that's causing this? And then we're able to really figure out what that child needs once they're located, and we're able to connect them with those resources. And every year we do a follow-up. So we call it an anniversary. So once the child's found, the year from that date, we'll be like, how's the programs going? How are you doing in school? And we always get really good reports back, and it's really nice. Plus, we care about these kids, just like anybody, so we want to know if they're still okay. So Missing Child Volunteer Search Force. So we have over 415 Nevada Child Seekers volunteers who are trained to search for missing children. This was us in front of the New Orleans during Super Bowl weekend. We call it the Big Search. This was just one group. We were so busy. We actually had a drive-through experience where you would come in, pick up the flyers, have a booklet of instructions, gave masks and gloves and everything that the volunteers would need. And then we have maps. So we map the areas where each group is going, from Anthem to Summerlin to Reno to Mesquite, to have an idea of where our volunteers are, where the tips are coming from, and then we have a tip line. As tips come in, they're sent directly to law enforcement. So in real time, it's all happening. So that's the best way to do things when it comes to the critical missing child, which is who we look for during the big searches. Over here is the internet. So the YouTube channel was really great during the pandemic. It was literally our one-stop shop for everyone. So our teachers were still reaching out to us, asking us for, we have a really great program called Shout Out Loud, which teaches elementary school kids that to use their voice as an alarm. If something's happening and they're scared or frightened or confused or being hurt or harmed, use your voice and shout out loud. And a lot of our elementary schools were still using our cartoons and still teaching our young people how to have a voice and how to report abuse if it was happening in the home. And so that was really great. So those are all still on our YouTube channel, so if you want to see them, you'll see the cartoons, or you could even learn about child trafficking here in Nevada and what we're doing to stop it and be a part of our volunteer search force. So we search every day. I have to reiterate that because we literally do search every day. I get missing child cases at night, in the middle of the night, and weekends, and the minute it comes through, that alert is activated. We could do everything from our phones at this point, which is such a blessing. So the missing child alerts, the minute the report comes in, we're able to activate the statewide alert that goes out. If you would like that statewide alert, just email me, or I'll give you my contact information at the end of this. You'll receive the alerts as they are activated, which sometimes is in the middle of the night, so most people prefer to have it sent to their email, which is fine. But we can also do to your phone if that's what you'd like. So we've printed over 23,000 missing child flyers and distributed them throughout the community. We host our monthly Saturday searches, which, like I said, is every last Saturday of the month. And then we have really great groups of volunteers who just do it every Saturday. So that's such a blessing. That's okay too. So we have groups of volunteers that pick up flyers on Wednesday, and they're searching that Saturday, which is awesome. We host the Big Search, which is our 3-day missing child search event, and that's during Super Bowl weekend. And those are the ones that are coming up in February. So we're already organizing for 2022. All right. This is our Big Search. So our city, our kids, each year we seek to find our most vulnerable missing children in Nevada during Super Bowl weekend. And then in 2020, of course, our efforts resulted in 35 children in 3 days being found. And that is great because we're searching for 30 of our most critical cases. We found an additional 5 children that were missing from other states. It was incredible. So I want to thank Mike Bartel from Free International and Brad Dennis with Class Kids. This was their idea. This was they'd been doing it for years in different parts of the country. And then luckily Mike moved here to Las Vegas. He connected with me and he's like, you search for kids, we search for kids. And I'm like, let's find them. So this event is really great and it's coming up in February again. So the Big Search 2020, here's the recap. So as I said, we had 26 missing children who were accounted for the Big Search. We had 17 additional missing children from the Big Search booklet who were accounted for, 9 additional cases that were found from other states. So the numbers kept rising, so I had to give you our most recent stats. So from the event that happens in those 3 days, it's a big energy. The kids we're finding them, law enforcement's going out and getting them, but then that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the momentum is still flying. So that's where we're still finding kids that maybe aren't even in our database yet, or part of other states. Unfortunately, we don't have the full access to all the missing child cases here in Nevada. What happens is the guardian has to call us, and then we're able to work with the guardian, and then they're in our database. I hope one day that changes. I hope that we're able to search for all of our 8,000 missing children, but for now, the guardian has to contact us in order to receive our help, or if I hear that there's a missing child case, I'll contact law enforcement and try to get the guardian's information, because I'm like, we have the resources, we can help you. And so that's how that works. Unfortunately, there were 5 missing child cases who were confirmed victims of child trafficking. So just remember, those numbers are children. So, our mission will never stop. We have to be a voice for them. We have to be able to find them. This, again, is another recap talking about how we were able to find the children. And so some of these are still missing, so I didn't cover them with the located stamp, but this is just to give you an idea. So we had a whole booklet of all these missing child flyers, and then one by one they start coming home, and that's the best feeling ever. So our staff and our volunteer presentations, ta-da! So Heather, who's in the middle right there, she is our program manager, so she does all of the presentations in the schools. And then Shout Out Loud, which is the little bear at the bottom, she was able to illustrate, and she's a graphic designer, create cartoons to go along with that. So that was during the pandemic when we were just like, we have to create more content. Our teachers are calling. We have to be able to have them have a link that they can click on and present to their kids during virtual learning. So she was amazing about that, and she just created a whole series for us. Whether it's fire safety, walking home from school by yourself, just a bunch of really important topics that, especially now that the world is open again, we need to reshare with our children or retrain our kids. So she created 53 unique youth empowerment videos during the pandemic. She was a busy girl. I helped out more with the high school component, whether it was like healthy relationships, suicide prevention. So these are all the topics that touch our children in some way. And if we can speak to them about that before there's an issue or before there's a problem, they're more likely to reach out for help and make a better choice. So that's our goal. So with social media, we just added TikTok a few months ago. So I think we have like 23 followers. But our most largest reach is on Facebook. So make sure you look for us at Nevada Child Seekers. You can just Google it and all the social media will pop up. We're very blessed that a lot of our local news and radio and newspapers cover our stories or cover our missing child cases, and they keep that topic in the forefront of our community. And these are our government partners. So we have MOUs with law enforcement, the Clark County Fire Department, to the Attorney General's office, National Center for Missing Children. So again, if you're seeing this and maybe your child's not even missing from Nevada, but they're missing from another state and you need help, you can contact our office and we will find that help for you. We will be that connection to law enforcement or media, or to get the word out about that missing child case. And so again, Amber Alert here in Nevada has a criteria. Every state is different. A lot of people are unaware of this. I mean, when I was a first volunteer, I didn't understand the difference. I thought a missing child alert was an Amber Alert, but it's not. A missing child alert is a missing child alert. An Amber Alert goes state by state. In Nevada, they have to have a vehicle description, and the child needs to be deemed in danger. So I don't see us being able to send an Amber Alert out for a missing 15-year-old who ran away with her 17-year-old boyfriend and there's a vehicle description. That's not an Amber Alert. Do you understand the difference? So unfortunately, that's the truth. And so I get to make the call to the parent and say, I can't send an Amber Alert, but I can send a missing child alert right now. Let's do that. And that gives them hope, and the community is aware of how to help. We just share the flyer, or we can come out and hand out flyers during an event. Wireless emergency alerts are great. That'll happen in the event. It's not just flood. There's flash flood warnings. Sometimes it could be a missing child alert. We sent out a few of those a few years back. We had a few of our missing juveniles who were deemed like an example would be if a child has diminished capacity or maybe an autistic child has walked away from their home, we will send the wireless emergency alert because that falls under that criteria. We need to find that child now. So we are able to connect with them. So we might be small in size, 4 people only, but we're big with resources and we make sure to connect our families to them. And here's our information. So we are local, but like I said, our reach is national, sometimes international. A few years ago, we helped with a parental abduction along with the Attorney General's office. A parent who no longer had rights took the child to France. So we were able just to be the mediators and get them connected to the Attorney General's office. Then they worked with the International Missing Child Coalition. So gives you an idea. So NevadaChildSeekers.org is our website. All of our resources are there, from the missing child alerts, the most recent, that you can share and look at. Or also, we have our Facebook, Twitter. We have all the connections there as well. So thank you. Oops, let me go back. I got you. There you go. Do we have any questions? Yes.
I'm just going to use this mic, and
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
walk over to anyone who has any questions for the live stream too.
I wanted to ask if you get many repeat. Do the kids keep coming back? You're dealing with the same kids a lot?
We don't get many repeat missing children, but the ones that we do, it's usually children in foster care. And that's heartbreaking because they're running from the situation. You know, they're children. So we'll look every time, we'll search every time. But honestly, the repeat runaway or the repeat missing child is less than 13% of our caseload. It's mostly the one time. This child's never gone missing before. This is, I'm scared as a parent, so it's the larger percentage is the one-time missing child.
And then I wanted to ask one of your slides, it looks like it's becoming worse, like there's more. Is there a reason for that?
I feel like with what topic? The missing children or a specific topic? With all the graph? I believe our reporting is getting better. Because when I looked at old missing child applications to kind of compare to the questions that were being asked since I started, because I had to revise a lot of stuff, a lot of questions weren't being asked, like, are you a victim of child trafficking? Do you have prior abuse in the home? Do you, is drugs or alcohol a problem? It was just, what does the child look like? We need their description. When was the last time they were seen? So shifting to actual topics to see what's happening to cause the child to go missing, that's I believe, the key in it, because then we can figure out what they need to be able to be safe. Also, population has a lot to do with it. So I would say that right now, a lot of people, the hot button is child trafficking. So you're going to see it's skyrocketing. Or if you actually talk to law enforcement or FBI, they're going to be like, those numbers have always been high. Just finally people have enough, courage to ask the right questions to our kids and figure out what they need. Mm-hmm.
What are the volunteers' responsibilities, and are there a certain minimum number of hours you're expected to?
So the responsibilities is to be able to complete a background check and pass it, just because of the sensitivity of these cases. They're very, they're minors, they're children, and sometimes you'll be getting a tip and you'll get a lot of information that is very sensitive. So you have to be able to pass a background check, which we cover. So that hopefully helps people to not worry about the cost. And then secondly, there is no minimum, there's no maximum. We kept it that way because everyone's schedules are different and everyone's life is, sometimes we get busy and sometimes we have all the time in the world. So we kept that open as well. But all we ask is when you receive an alert or if you do, or if you are activated, just let me know, like Margarita, I can't make it, or reply back and we'll thank you for letting me know. That's all I ask, because sometimes we'll have something like a missing 3-year-old or missing 4-year-old, and I'm like, I need everyone now. You'll get that text message, and then I get 2 or 3 people, coming to the call out, and I'm like, but I sent it to 115 people. Where is everyone? So I just asked for that. But honestly, it's a near and dear to my heart, obviously, but I am human, and I do know, we have families and we have schedules, or you're at work. I never, like I say, during the training, that specific training. If you're at work or you have something, just at least let us know, because that way I'll know you're not coming, and I'll be able to maybe call on to our Metro MVPs. So they're great too. We have a whole pool of volunteers from different organizations that'll be able to help us. So there's no minimum.
Did you have a question? Did you raise your hand? No, sorry. Any other questions?
Hi.
I did have a question for you. Can you talk about your story and how you got involved with Nevada Child Seekers? What kind of fuels you?
Oh, thank you. Okay, so my story, it starts back with my mom. She worked with a nonprofit all of her life, which was really great, and I was able to kind of see her in service. And then I moved on to college and did my little thing, but my heart was always calling me back to work with children. And I was really wanting to volunteer somewhere, and I just moved to Las Vegas, and then I realized, Google, I'm going to Google, volunteering with children. Thankfully, Nevada Child Seekers was the first one that popped up, and a really great lady, Stephanie Parker, she was the executive director at the time, she allowed me to come in and just explained, this reality. And I volunteered for the 2 years, did, the searches and the flyers, and learned more about how to present, because I was really into the internet safety component, especially 10 years ago when I was just like, yeah, they would find children. That's like, instead of the van driving around the park, which, we teach our kids about, like, don't talk to strangers, we need to talk to our kids about not talking to strangers online. That's just as important. And I was trained on that, and I started to present the internet safety classes to K through 12th grade. And thankfully, my heart was still, because you do learn a lot of cases that don't end well, and that really breaks your heart. But at the end of the day, I'm like, now it's more reason I need to be a voice for these kids, because the faster we find them, the better. And I came on board full time and worked my way up to executive director. And thankfully, I can't see myself doing anything else. I love this mission, and it's so important. And so that's my story. A Google search.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
any other questions? All right. Thank you so much. A round of applause for Margarita Edwards.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you being here and all the work that you do in the community. And I'm sure for people watching in person and on live stream, this was information that I didn't know. So we're glad that you're out there doing the work. And if people are interested in volunteering, I'm sure they can go to the website and be more involved in our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
And
it.
just really quickly, you don't have to be in Nevada, because I know that you may put this on your website. You could be anywhere. I can send you missing child flyers from Kentucky, from New York. Anyone can do this. Anyone can be a voice for our missing kids. And I can connect you to that. And I hope that you will call me. So thank you. Yay.